Hey guys, Chaos Zero Nightmare announced that we will get a roadmap on the 20th on December, so in 5 days after me uploading this video. Now there would be a lot to talk about. We could speculate and figure everything out that they need to do, but it is a waste of time because there are so many glaring issues that are so obvious that would need to be fixed. Like, they should already be fixed, to be honest, but that should be their highest priority on the roadmap. Like, for example, we are still suffering extremely hardcore from a stamina gap. As you know, they tried to tackle this issue. They are really good at lying, but hiding these lies. Let me give you some examples of what I mean with them lying but hiding it. Remember when they said, and they even went through with it technically, that they will buff some cards that we got during the season, and those buffs also included items. I'm pretty sure you already forgot about that at all, because they announced those changes as buffs, but they were so ridiculously small and completely irrelevant that it is actually offensive to even call those buffs. And you see what I mean? They took a few cards and they added completely useless cards, and they added lead onto these cards, and those were the buffs. A completely useless card doesn't get any better by adding lead onto them. It is a completely irrelevant change that no one in the world cares about. So them calling this buffs is a lie, you know what I mean? But you see how they are hiding it, right? Because technically they buffed the card by giving it lead. It is not a buff, because if we talk about a buff, it needs to be relevant. It at least has to catapult a card out from being useless or mid into the meta and into relevancy. If a buff doesn't do that, then it is not a buff. It is just a completely irrelevant change and not a buff. That's what they already did, right? Okay. Let me give you another example and show you this actually, which ties into this stamina issue that I just talked about. Here, wait a minute. Let me get this off of my screen and fix it. So, they were lying again. They introduced a pretty hype change called the Blackhorn shop, or whatever it was called. Yeah, here, the Blackhorn trade kind of new tab in the shop. And they put a lot of items in here that on the surface look quite useful. You know, this Eye of Whirling Prodigal, or this Shard of Condemnation here, this feather right there. Or like upgrades to our potential trees, so we can have an easier time upgrading this by playing the game and obtaining the new resource Crystal of Discord. That on the surface sounds amazing, and it is on the surface addressing the stamina issue. But in reality, this shop doesn't do anything for anyone. You grind this out here, you grind these Crystal of Discords in the most effective way possible in this game. In case you're curious, I have a video explaining what actually the most effective way of farming these Crystal of Discords is. So you will still, even if you do it perfectly right and really fast, you will sit here for hours and hours and hours on end to obtain you these great grove stones of your choice, which one you ever might go for. And this would lead you to believe that you can upgrade your potential tree. But trust me, you will sit here for like 3 to 4 hours and you will be able to upgrade one of your potential nodes once, maybe twice. And you also gonna have to pay the units for it because you would have to convert this. This here is a shitty material. This is not the high grade one that we actually want. So we have to take a lot of those shitty ones here and convert them into, merge them as they call it in this game, into a high quality shard, which then actually upgrades our potential tree. So you will sit here for like 6 to 8 hours to upgrade your potential, one node in your potential tree, like twice. You know what I mean? That is an illusion of an upgrade, right? This doesn't help anyone whatsoever. The time investment here for the outcome that you get is like the biggest dog shit ever. So again, right, just to get my point across, that they pretend that they are listening and that they are aware of the problems in this game and they address them, quote unquote, but they don't really. This is like all those changes, right, that I talked about, and there are more examples like this. I can't count them all off here in this video. That would take me way too long. But again, the point is that they are not changing anything. They are not helping anyone, right? They just make it so that there is something to make the people that cry for good reason, that complain for good reason, I should say, to make them shut up because they actually did something, but they didn't. You know what I mean, right? I think you get the point. And this is a big reason as to why them introducing a roadmap is pretty goddamn useless, because we cannot take what these developers say anymore at face value. No matter whatever they will tell us, it could just be another illusion and another fake update, right? So that's about that. It is still good that we get this roadmap. Why? Because the game is completely dead and there is nothing to do. It is extremely repetitive and it gets boring after like 2 weeks, but we sit 9 weeks here throughout the season. So there is a lot of slop and dead wait time that we have to suffer through together. And introducing a roadmap will give us a lot of stuff to talk about. So it is at least some form of content, and that is what we desperately need. And therefore we can get a little bit hype about this roadmap, but yeah, we shouldn't get too exciting. Okay, so them giving out these or busting out these lies and giving us these illusional updates now actually gives me a little bit of hope, because yeah, here we go. Let me tell you another lie that they put out. They said at some point in time, it was very early on actually, they said that they will never buff or nerf characters after they released, right? A character that exists is not gonna get buffed or nerfed. Okay, now fast forward, Yuki came out, and again, I said this once already. In gacha games, there is this weird thing of people being unable to judge characters by just looking at their kit and figuring out how the character will perform by looking at the kit, right? So in gacha games, at least from what I have experienced for a very long time now, the characters get misjudged left, right and center. And so there were a lot of idiots, a lot of morons that were not able to judge Yuki accordingly, and they pulled for her. Okay. So far so good, right? I cannot tell anyone I cannot call everyone a moron or stupid or whatever just because they like a character and pull for the character. That's totally fine. You can pull for whatever you want, right? What makes them dumb fucking morons is the fact that they complain so incredibly hardcore that they make the developers change their philosophy. It's either the player base complaining too hard or the developers being pussies straight up, and they can't handle the criticism and they fold. It's one of those things or a little bit of a mix of those things, but either way it's very, very bad, because in a gacha game you cannot buff or nerf a character, especially not soon after it released. Let me explain to you one more time why that is actually the case. Because most of your player base is gonna be free to play or low spender. Like 1%, if even that, of the player base are hardcore whales, and they financiate the game for everyone else. They spend thousands and thousands of dollars into this game, and they need people, they need these free-to-play players, most of the player base, to flex their new Ferraris on, right? Like Yuki, like Shizuru, like every new character, right? Their collection, their achievements, their inflated numbers, all of that kind of crap. Now, if you buff a character like, for example, Yuki, you completely kill the game, you destroy your entire game for the free-to-play players, because free-to-play players, they don't have the resources available for themselves to pull on every single character. Therefore, they need bad characters like Yuki to come out and then skip those characters to save up on resources, accumulate the resources to then not miss out on an actual good character that is eventually gonna release, so that they can keep up with the power creep and the metagame. That is 100% needed in every single gacha game out there. Otherwise, the game will die. Now, with these developers though, buffing a character like Yuki, right, immediately. That's the first character that ever came out, and we already have to address this issue. It's actually completely insane. How does buffing a character destroy the game for free-to-play players? Because now, even if you have the knowledge and you have the ability to figure out how a character will perform by just looking at the kit, this knowledge becomes now completely irrelevant, because you will never know if they will buff this character or not, right? Even if you figure out, hey, Yuki's kit is ass, it's not holding up, and she's gonna be kind of mid and not gonna be worth for me spending my resources. Even if you are like that, it doesn't matter anymore, because you could judge the character 100% accurately and still be wrong, because they just buffed this character into viability, into S tier status in the near future, right? And that is making you, as a free-to-play player, eventually quitting the game. It will in fact lead to a drastic decrease in the player base if they're gonna go ahead and do that, because now again, like, you cannot skip any character anymore whatsoever. You have to pull for every single character, because you never can judge them anymore, and they might become meta, and you might gonna miss out on a top tier unit if you skip, right? And again, you as a free-to-play player, you don't have the ability, you don't have the resources available, no matter whatever you're gonna do, to pull for every single character. You're gonna miss out, you're gonna fall behind, and you're gonna be pissed about it. And that is gonna make you quit the game sooner or later. It is just what's happening. It has been proven throughout history of gacha games time and time and time again. countless gacha games died because of these dumb developers' decision, and they becoming too predatory to maintain the game for a free-to-play audience. So we can just sit here, wait and see what's gonna happen, pray that those so-called Yuki buffs are an illusion, just like they did, right? The people complained about stamina issues. They give you a useless shop and a new grindable resource that doesn't make any sense and doesn't change anything. I hope they're gonna do this, like again, right? They buff cards and items. They say they buff cards and items, but these buffs are completely irrelevant, and it would be the exact same game if these changes would never happen, right? So we can just, again, sit here and pray that they're gonna do the same thing with Yuki and be like, hey, so many people are complaining so hardcore about Yuki, we gotta do something. We have to do something to make them shut up. And then they drop these shadow buffs that don't matter at all, but the people that are dumb enough to pull for Yuki will now be also dumb enough to realize that those buffs weren't actual buffs, and therefore they will shut up, right? They did this multiple times and it worked like a charm, pretty much. Not exactly with the stamina issue, but you get the point. So, wow, right? That is crazy. And yeah, we have only scratched the surface. We have only addressed the two most important things. The number one most important thing is what I'm gonna talk about right now. That is how their philosophy works when it comes to what a season should actually be. The season number one is a complete catastrophe, and the number one most important thing that has to be addressed in this very roadmap, otherwise it will be too late, is that they change their philosophy on how they approach what a season is. Let me tell you what the problem is and why this season 1 doesn't function whatsoever. That is because they take the exact same approach of what a season is from ARPGs, like for example Diablo and Path of Exile, and they try to transfer this exact season from the ARPGs into their gacha game. That is obviously not gonna work. Those are two completely different genres. You cannot fuse them. Before I explain to you why this cannot under any circumstances work, let me tell you, just in case you don't know, what a season is in an ARPG. A seasonal content in an ARPG is that you play the exact same game that you have ever played. With or without the season, you play the exact same game. But they throw a gimmick onto you. Whatever that gimmick might be. Like portals spawn randomly on your journey on the maps, and they spawn like new creatures that you now have to defeat, or like whatever, right? You can get super creative with it because it is not an actual mechanic. It is just a gimmick to keep things a little bit fresh. The reason why in ARPGs a season like this still works is because of major balancing changes. Every single season, you don't play the season for the gimmick, right? You play the season to have a fresh start with everyone and play a different class from season to season with a completely different build, and the playstyle from one character to another and even from build to build changes so drastically that you can have fun again, right? As well, the seasons there are way too long, and no one in their right mind would ever play the season for the entire duration. You play the season for like a week or maybe 2, and then you're gonna go play something else, right? So there we go. That is a quite quote-unquote normal issues, because game developers are just too incompetent to bust out good content no matter what game we are talking about. So yeah, we cannot blame the developers Smilegate in Chaos Zero Nightmare for that. But you can see, right, this exact seasonal philosophy does not work for a gacha game, because you cannot change the balance of your game. We're gonna move with the exact same teams that we have in season 1. We're gonna move with those 2 teams into season 2 as well, right? We don't have access to other characters. There will be no balance changes. There is nothing like that. All we have is when we look at this seasonal planet that we have, the map, whatever you want to call it, there are countless of recycled assets. There is nothing new, absolutely nothing. It's stale and boring as fuck. All the new items, they don't matter at all. No one is ever gonna use any of those. And the exact same thing goes for the cards. Yeah, there are so many countless new cards introduced, and all of these cards, every single one of these cards is completely irrelevant garbage. We do not have new opponents, new interesting boss fights with cool strategy where we have to adapt or anything like this. It is the exact same game that we already played before the season, but actually worse, because of more useless bloat. Like all these cards, all these are completely irrelevant items. The character Yuki and even Chizuru, completely uninteresting, right? Like, there's no appeal to these characters at all. Chizuru is of course better than Yuki, right? In terms of gameplay, how fun she is, the overall design, but still, like, the characters are not cool or interesting. Nothing changes the gameplay. All you are, like, if we truly break it down, the only change, that quote unquote change, its gimmick that I was explaining when I talked about the ARPG seasons, is the dimensional tunnel. And that is the mix up. That is the only truly new thing that we are dealing with for 9 weeks straight right now. And there is absolutely nothing else. They recycle everything. Even the basin of hyperspace got recycled into, they call this now the Greater Rift, I think is what they call it. They just recycled all the creeps, all the monsters that they already have into this. Even the entire gameplay mode just got slapped into the season, and they now call it something else, right? I mean, that is, I mean, I don't know how you could not call this dog shit, if I'm completely being honest. Then these boss fights also recycled with a few perks. Completely lazy ass boring shit. I'm being honest. Yeah, of course, there is this new fat monster with all these eyes that is kinda tanky, right? He's called Discord something as well. It is a completely uninteresting fight. There is no mechanic attached to it. He's just bulky, and it's just a damage race, and that's gonna be about that, bro. Like, I mean, holy crap, you know? What this season should be is interesting new monsters. They have to completely rework for the season how this planet works. We have to get new events inside of this chaos run. We have to get cards and items that actually spice up and change the way we play this game, not be completely irrelevant dog shit. These cards and these items and the new bosses and the new events, it has to warp the game into something completely different. change our entire playstyle and our approach. The tiles that we have with like normal battles, the campfire, the question mark, change these tiles, change everything, right? New bosses and the cards, the items, make them matter. The season has to be all about new mechanics, new cards, new items, new events, new interesting and well-designed boss fights. That is the only way you could make this season work. Because otherwise, if we get another, if season 2 is similar to season 1, I mean, well, damn. It's probably gonna be over if I'm gonna be completely honest. This season 1, I have not heard a single soul on the planet, and I'm everywhere, right? I'm on YouTube. I from time to time even go on Reddit, believe it or not, which I normally never do. I go on Twitter and everything. I hear so many voices. I have not heard anyone ever say, hey, the season 1 is great, I enjoy it a lot. This is just the game, and they slapped a bunch of rewards onto there, and that's why we even play the season in the first place. Trust me, like, if there wouldn't be rewards, no one would even be playing the season 1. Even if, like, let's say, right, the scenario of there are no rewards in the entire game. You just play the thing for fun. No one would play the season. Everyone would play the zero system without the seasonal content. That's how like boring, stale and bad it actually is. And that's what they have to address in their roadmap. First, right, they have to address the stamina issue one more time. They have to get the changes for Yuki correct. And they have to completely rethink their philosophy when it comes to what a season is. Right? And don't get me wrong. There are a lot of more issues that we can talk about there. I could be talking for like 5 hours right here straight. Like the animations that I have to sit through in every single fight. I have to watch the same animations over and over and over again. Just please, if we go into a planet, play this animation once for the entire Chaos run. Don't play it in the every single battle that I fight. It really makes me like close the game sometimes. It's so horrendous. Then what the fuck is this voice acting when we visited the lung shop? There is this lady there screaming at us, like, what the hell are you even on about? Constantly screaming, babbling nonsense. No one wants to hear this shit, bro. I'm getting a headache and I'm actually muting the game when I go on a Chaos run, mainly because of that. And of course, other characters like Veronica, for example, also, they have terrible loud voice acting that just is so annoying and gives me a headache, right? Just let me please turn off this crappy voice acting. Let me only hear the sounds of like the effects of abilities and the music that the game has and stuff. Then the animations, let me turn them off or make them just play once per run. Like, this is crazy shit. Then when I go and dunk my stamina and have the simulation play on autoplay, it takes ages, over ages and ages. I'm sitting here and I can't move on with my fucking life because I have to wait and wait and wait for like God knows how long that actually fucking is. Like, can you not just give me a skip button or like make them play twice as fast or something? Like, I'm waiting here way too long just to dunk my fucking stamina. I mean, please, come on. The Chaos runs already take 2 hours. Why am I sitting here dunking my stamina for 30 minutes? You know, all this kind of nonsensical garbage stuff. But yeah, I didn't want to sit here for 5 hours, so I kept it at the developers are actually lying and the updates that they put out are pretty much illusions, really, can really call it like that confidently, then yeah, how much the Yuki buffs will matter in the end, and about how they have to change their philosophy at approaching how a season works and what a season should actually be. And that's about the video, guys. Let me know what you think about everything that I just said. It was a whole lot. In the comment section down below, please. I'm pretty curious. But until next time, take care of yourselves. Have a great day. Don't forget to join the Discord server, link in the description down below. Peace and love.